The truck driver brought Ling Xuan to the parallel world of Blue Star for the year-end bonus. Here, Body Crossing replaced Ling Xuan, a senior high school student with the same name and surname, and obtained a check.in system. Introduction pale, please refer to the content for details. Keywords of the novel. Dimension. Check in at the beginning of the game Thunder Law Core without pop-ups, dimension. Check in at the beginning of the game Thunder Law Core TXT Complete Collection Download, dimension. Check in at the beginning of the game Thunder Law Core latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Check-in system. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Check-in system. 5 days ago, a small wormhole appeared at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, with hundreds of fourth-order monsters suddenly appearing, causing a large number of fishermen deaths and damage to military facilities. The Alliance's senior management dispatched a special operation team, which has now destroyed the wormhole. Just around 2 a.m. this morning, the British Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the discovery of a mythological secret realm and invited strong individuals from all countries to join hands in exploring it. In a two-story small Western-style building, a young man named Ling Xuan looked at the messages pushed to him on his phone. Click. Eating potato chips without any inner turmoil. He has been traveling to this world for over a month now. That's right, Ling Xuan is a traveler from a blue planet. The way of crossing is very simple, taken away by the truck driver. That day, he went to the market to buy groceries after work. While crossing the zebra crossing, a car ran a red light and he managed to dodge with astonishing reaction speed. Unexpectedly, just as he was celebrating his survival from the disaster, a truck hit him straight from the side. When I woke up again, I had already arrived at this parallel world called Blue Star. Now Ling Xuan feels a faint pain in his waist. He all doubted whether the owner of the sedan was a newcomer to the Alien Driver Transport Alliance. The newcomer's debut failed, and the old driver took the opportunity to make up for it in order to successfully send him away. I don't know how to expand my business these days. It's so painful to bump into people, so I'd better hurry up. Roast. Ling Xuan turns off his mobile phone and throws it aside, then goes to the kitchen to prepare dinner. The Blue Star he is currently in is a world of extraordinary technology coexisting. In this world, there is something called a spatial crack. It is the fundamental principle of absorbing spiritual energy and transforming the world, and living beings absorb and cultivate to become extraordinary beings. Ding. The dimensional check.in system is dedicated to serving you. Just as Ling Xuan was focused on cutting vegetables and preparing dinner, a cold voice suddenly rang out in his mind. Ling Xuan's chopping knife in his hand gave him an excited look. System. My system. Ding. Yes. I've been traveling to this world for almost a week now, you just appeared. Ding. Please forgive me, the host. In order to create a better service experience, the system has been recycling some things during this period. It's okay, I'm already satisfied if you can appear, Ling Xuan sighed. He almost thought he had to face this unfamiliar world alone. Do you have a beginner gift pack? Ling Xuan asked the question he was most concerned about. Ding. In order to compensate the host, we have added one more check.in opportunity. By the way, you said you are a check.in system. Ling Xuan also remembered. I was a bit excited before and ignored it. Ding. May I ask if the host has checked in today? Sign in now. Ding. Successful check.in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Thunder Law Core, flawless version. The core of the Law of Thunder, flawless version. The blessed core can be consumed with peace of mind. The introduction is only in one simple sentence. But Ling Xuan was completely stunned. It's not something he's not familiar with, on the contrary, he's too familiar. Familiar, a bit unbelievable. Accompanied by a purple glow, a core slowly emerged from the void and landed in his hand. No so. Called collapse can erode, the purple core clearly reflects his face. After being stunned, he became ecstatic. Looking at the core in my hand, it feels like I'm dreaming. Ding. May I ask if the host is undergoing fusion? The system's voice rang out. Fusion. Ling Xuan said without hesitation. He believes that his system will not harm him, and he is also extremely excited. Just like when 7-7 saw a coconut sheep. There are no other ideas besides pouncing on it. Perhaps there is also stripping clothes. Ding. We're starting to merge now. As the system's voice falls, the core in Ling Xuan's hand slowly flew up and then flew into his chest. Immediately afterwards, he felt a cool force spreading from the core to his entire body. The body's functions are gradually being altered by the core. Ling Xuan closed his eyes, quietly experiencing the power of the core. Ding. Fusion completed. At the moment when the sound of the system fell, Ling Xuan suddenly opened his eyes. The originally black pupils have now turned into a purple diamond pattern. Raise your hand. The red arc flickered in the palm of the hand. So, has the fusion been successful? Ling Xuan still felt a bit skeptical. He had imagined many exchanges with anime characters in his dreams. I also hoped for their abilities. However, at the moment of true fusion, he had no real feeling, as if it was another dream. Does the host initiate a second check? At this point, the sound of the system rang out again. Sign in now. Ding. Successful check. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the armed doll, Fairy, and Ellie. What? Ling Xuan was confused when he heard this sign in reward. When he looked over, he saw a pink fairy doll holding a staff sitting on the table with closed eyes. It seems that it has not been activated yet. So Ling Xuan stood up silently and dug out a cardboard box from the room. Carefully put the fairy Ellie inside. Close the cardboard box and take out the adhesive tape. Bang ping. Just as Ling Xuan was about to completely seal off this noisy guy, a knock on the door suddenly rang out. Seeing this, Ling Xuan could only be forced to stop his homework. Walk to the door. Hello. As soon as I opened the door, I saw a girl like moonlight waving at him with a smile. Kiana. Ling Xuan's pupils shrank as he saw the girl, and he instinctively shouted out. Ha! Do you know me? The moonlight girl with fried dough twists braids was a little surprised. I shouldn't have, I just moved to this city. Can you say that you were in the same school as me before, and you also just moved here? Kiana asked. Don't think about it, think about it. You're not good at this kind of thing. Looking at Kiana thinking, Ling Xuan instinctively said. How could you say the same thing to Blonia? Kiana said with her hands on her hips in defiance. Blonia. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Looking at Ling Xuan, who was silent, Kiana asked. Stupid Kiana, have you caused trouble for your new neighbor? A flat voice came from the side. Looking around, a little girl holding a yellow doll with gray spiral double ponytails walked over. Ling Xuan stared blankly and rubbed his eyes with some uncertainty. Hey! No way! It's him who doesn't speak on his own. Yana, who was wronged, expressed great injustice. Neighbor, although Kiana has caused you trouble, it's very impolite to look at a girl like that. Feeling Ling Xuan's gaze, Blonia lifted her head and spoke calmly. Upon hearing the sound, Ling Xuan could only temporarily let go of his doubts and apologized. Sorry, you look a bit like someone I know. This old-fashioned way of approaching is outdated, Blonia whispered. Perhaps, Ling Xuan declined. By the way, here you are. Kiana suddenly remembered something. Hand the box to Ling Xuan. This is a dim sum made by Yai. It's delicious. If Yai didn't say that he would give it to his new neighbor as a gift, I wouldn't give it up. Looking at Kiana's greedy appearance, Ling Xuan is a bit dazed. It's been a long time since she was so naive and innocent in her memory. Well, thank you, I will definitely finish it, Ling Xuan, who took it, said Xia. Well, that's it, Blonia. Let's go back quickly. I can already smell the aroma of Yai's rice. Kiana strode towards the next door. Stupid Kiana, don't worry. Blonia glanced at Ling Xuan and then followed up. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Fairy Ellie. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Fairy Ellie. Ling Xuan, who returned to the room, looked at the box in his hand and felt a bit dazed. He didn't quite understand why Kiana and Blonia suddenly appeared next door. And it seems that Yai is also here. Will GZ also be here? Ling Xuan murmured. Speaking of which, it has been a long time since GZ left. If it weren't for salaried lawyers, he would have forgotten. Ding. Are the hosts still satisfied with this gift? The sound of the system suddenly rang out. Ling Xuan was surprised and said, Did you do it? Ding. When binding with the host, some information was shared in the system. Based on the information obtained, the host appears to be extremely sensitive to the presence of knives. Ling Xuan. Everyone is afraid of knives, right? In various senses. Is it related to anything? There are many parallel worlds, and the system just imported one of them into this world. Although the host may feel abrupt, they are actually born into this world. Can this kind of thing also be done? Ling Xuan dared not set up a channel. Ding. Before binding, the system mentioned that in order to create a better service experience for the host, the system recycled some things, and of course, also changed some things. After listening to the system, Ling Xuan fell into silence. So he answered the first question of the system. Thank you. Looking at the gift box, Ling Xuan gently opened the companion gift sent by Kiana. Inside, it is divided into 4 areas, each with different cookies and cookies. Biscuits made by Yai. After settling for a while, I picked up a piece and put it in my mouth. At the moment of biting, Ling Xuan was stunned. It's a bit delicious. He can understand why Kiana likes Yai so much. Even things like Mei juice are not spared, emotions are really delicious. Ling Xuan poured himself a glass of water. Lying on the sofa, watching TV and eating cookies. To be honest, he still doesn't quite believe it. The gap between life with and without systems is really huge. Unconsciously, Ling Xuan had already finished all the cookies. Touching my slightly full belly, my gaze couldn't help but fall on the unsealed paper box. Perhaps next door, the rice made by Yai is the best. Under the warm light, Kiana kept picking vegetables into her bowl, her mouth full of oil stains. A simple yet happy smile permeated his face. Eat slowly, don't rush. Yai showed a helpless expression and picked up a tissue to help Kiana wipe the corners of her mouth. Hee. Kiana is a child who never grows up, and she always worries Sister Yai, Blonia said, taking a sip of the juice lightly. Speaking of which, Teacher GZ has not returned yet, Yai said as she looked at the door. It's okay, she must have gone somewhere to drink again. She'll be back when it's time, Kiana said indifferently. Dong dong. At this moment, a knock on the door sounded. Blonia, go open the door. Blonia sat up from her chair and walked towards the door. Yai. Can it be Teacher GZ? Kiana. It shouldn't be. It's so early now, GZ definitely hasn't been drinking. She only knocks on the door when she's drinking. Click. Blonia opened the door. The slender figure was suddenly shrouded in a tall shadow. Is it you? Blonia looked up and was somewhat surprised when she saw Ling Xuan. Well, thank you for the cookies. They're delicious. Ling Xuan looked at Blonia and smiled. Blonia. What? Ling Xuan's gaze puzzled her. They probably only met twice. But why does the person in front of her look at her as if they are nostalgic? Also, this is a return gift as a companion gesture. Ling Xuan placed the cardboard box at the door. Blonia, who is it? Kiana's voice came from inside the room, and Blonia instinctively turned her head. It's next door. While answering Kiana's question, Blonia turned around and found that Ling Xuan's figure was no longer at the door. Blonia was a bit puzzled and finally turned her gaze to the cardboard box. My heart is becoming increasingly puzzled. Strange people. With a murmur, he picked up the cardboard box with both hands and said, "It's so heavy." Blonia, what are you holding? Looking at Blonia walking back with a cardboard box, Kiana exclaimed curiously. I'm not sure, the guy next door gave it as a gesture of gratitude for Sister Yai's hand gesture. It's a return gift, then it's okay. Let's open it and take a look. Wait for Kiana. Yai grabbed Kiana's hand. The things I gave were originally not worth much money, and I didn't want any return gifts. Let's just return them. Who said that? Yai's craftsmanship is hard to buy for $1,000. Kiana retorted. Even so, Yai hesitated. Sister Yai, I think I can open it, Blonia said at this moment. Hey! Thunderbolt Yai looked at Blonia in confusion. I think he should also want us to accept it, Blonia recalled Ling Xuan's gaze and said. Still very concerned. Can it be that he knew her before? As Bolangya, her observation is very keen. You see, even Blonia said that, that's definitely okay. Kiana said to Yai. Since Blonia has said that. Yai sighed and released Kiana's hand. Hee, let me see what kind of good thing it is. Kiana took out scissors and used a sharp blade to cut open the tape along the edge. The cardboard box has been opened, however, they were stunned when they saw what was inside. I saw a pink-haired doll holding a magic circle lying quietly inside. It seems like sleeping in a beautiful dream. Is this a doll? Well done and realistic. Kiana leaned down and poked the fairy Ellie's fair cheek with her fingers. Q's cheeks made her unable to resist pinching a few more times. Then, he pulled the wand out of the fairy Ellie's hand. Let's return it, it looks very valuable at first glance, said Yai. Blonia didn't speak and walked straight over. In the puzzled gaze of the two, they picked up the fairy Ellie from the cardboard box. Blonia. The two looked at Blonia with some confusion. After looking left and right, Blonia finally rolled up the hair behind the fairy Ellie. Found a button. Then gently touch. A pink light bloomed from the fairy Ellie. And then it just floated up. The sleeping fairy finally woke up. Xiang, the lovely fairy Ellie has awakened. Fairy Ellie flew up, took a spin in the sky, and happily waved her hand at the three of them. Lovely humans, hello. I am the fairy of the fairy kingdom, Ellie. I came to meet you. Who is important? Speak, speak, speak. Kiana looked at the fairy Ellie in shock. Humph, I'm a fairy from the kingdom of immortal music. Isn't it normal for me to speak? Is this a new couple ready to go public? Yai pondered for a moment and said. I'm not a doll, I'm a fairy named Ellie. I'm a fairy, a cute human, I can't forget it. Blonia. Kiana. Yai. They suddenly understood why the doll was given away. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Ice and Frozen Clouds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Ice and Frozen Clouds. In the room after delivering the fairy Ellie, Ling Xuan went home to wash up and lay in bed. There were a lot of things happening today, which also caused a bit of mental fatigue. Hiss, raising his hand, Ling Xuan stared blankly at the red thunder on his palm. Pop. Then he snapped his fingers at the void. A dark red collapse can invade the void. Urgently, a small thrusting collapsing beast emerged. Can we summon the collapse beast? It means we can also engage in large-scale collapse. Gently caress the head of this sudden collapsing beast, Ling Xuan murmured. Then, as if thinking of something, Ling Xuan's hand paused and he spoke to the void. System, is the power of my Thunderbolt core based on the civilization of this world or the civilization of the shattered world? Ding. The core of the host's check.in is a product of system optimization, so there will be no side effects. The sound of the system is coming. And in order to maximize its strength, it corresponds to the civilization that destroyed the pre-world civilization era. Is that so? I know now, Ling Xuan said. Next moment Ling Xuan's hand clenched slightly, and the red lightning in his palm became more concentrated. According to the power reflected by the core of the lawmaker, under the control of Ling Xuan, a purple gemstone was born from the thunder, emitting a strange purple light. Similar to conquering gems, a pop-up window resembling an online game page appeared in front of Ling Xuan, displaying the name of this gem. Just this gem can give birth to an imitator of the law. And the gemstones he manufactures are absolutely safe. There is no risk of actively eroding the host. Thinking about it, Ling Xuan looked out the window and finally landed in the next room. Silent all night the next day Ling Xuan left early after finishing breakfast. He has something very important to do today. Are you Mr. Ling Xuan? Just as Ling Xuan locked the door, a female voice suddenly rang out. Ling Xuan turned his head and saw a black-haired girl cleaning the courtyard with a broom. She is very beautiful, exuding an approachable aura all over her body. Hello, my name is Thunderbolt Yai. Thank you very much for your gift yesterday, the girl introduced herself. A gentle smile makes one feel like basking in spring breeze. It's good if you like it. Cute humans, beautiful fairies are hungry. At this moment, a lively voice came. I saw the fairy Ellie fly out of the room and say to Yai. Ah, good. Ling Xuan glanced at the fairy Ellie and smiled at Yai. Sometimes just relax, don't be too tired. Thank you, said Yai. Ling Xuan smiled slightly and then left. Cute human, is that your friend? Asked the fairy Ellie as she looked at Ling Xuan's back. It's the neighbor who lives next door. Curious and strange, I always feel like he has a pleasant scent on him, said the fairy Ellie strangely. Yai chuckled lightly. After all, you were the one he sent. Arriving at the roadside, Ling Xuan clicked on the ride-hailing app. Soon, a white sedan drove over. After getting on at Ling Xuan, the white sedan headed north all the way. Finally, I left Kanglan City and arrived at the nearby Afterglow Forest. With the revival of spiritual energy, not only did humans benefit, but also Blue Star. This also led to an increase in the area of the Blue Star, and this forest was the one that first appeared. Therefore, the two neighboring cities were separated. That's it here. After walking for a while Ling Xuan stopped. Usually, there are very few people coming here, especially in summer, so even fewer come. The God's Key is a weapon that contains the power of the lawmaker. Isn't the weapon I created with the power of the lawmaker also the God's Key? Somehow, Ling Xuan's mind suddenly rang with the phrase, Shirbao. Hands extended, and a blueprint came to mind. Immediately after, red mercury thunder and purple sky thunder jumped out of Ling Xuan's hands. Two lightning beams intersect and merge in the void, finally solidifying plasticity. Transformed into a red-purple sword. Weapon name. 7 thunders for eliminating crimes. Thunder sight, attribute. Thunder passive. Thunder god Ling Xuan, who was holding the Tai Dao, felt it for a moment. Attempting to transport the collapse energy into it, the blade of the 7 thunders of cleansing sin emitted a purple light. Ling Xuan's pupils froze and he waved casually towards the big tree ahead. Shoo! In an instant, the space seemed to be torn apart. A lightning blade shot out from the 7 thunders of cleansing crime, hitting the big tree heavily. In an instant, the trees turned into powder and dissipated. Can just a casual blow bring it back to its molecular state? Ling Xuan was a bit confused. He thought he would get a lightning strike would. The law of thunder is to cleanse the 7 thunders of sin. Ling Xuan looked at the Tai Dao in his hand and cast his gaze towards the big mountain in front of him. If we strike with all our might, we should be able to destroy this mountain range. Will you be caught then? Ling Xuan felt a bit uneasy in his heart. Anyway, before yesterday, he was a law-abiding and good citizen. It's exciting to gain strength, but there are still some concerns. Ding. Remind the host that check.in has started today. Will the host proceed with check.in? The sound of the system suddenly rang out, bringing Ling Xuan back to his senses. Sign in, Ling Xuan couldn't help but say. Ding. Successful check.in, congratulations to the host for obtaining domain. Ice sky and frozen cloud. What did you just say in the system? Ling Xuan thought he might have heard it wrong. System. Congratulations to the host for obtaining domain. Ice sky and frozen cloud. Ling Xuan. With the sound of the check.in system falling, Ling Xuan seemed to be enlightened. I quickly mastered the icy sky and frozen clouds. Similar to what I remember, this is the ability to freeze all living beings within a defined range. As long as the energy is sufficient, it can even freeze time and space. When paired with the 7 thunders of cleansing sin, one may be able to unleash a momentary blow. Thinking about it, Ling Xuan glanced at the Gui Gui Chi lei in his hand. His face is a bit strange. Is he the Thunderbolt template or the Sakura template? Anyway, I'm constantly getting stronger, so my own mastery needs to keep up. System, help me block satellite signals in this area. Ding. The shielding barrier has been opened for the host. Thank you. There is a system that is really convenient. The most crucial thing is that this system should not be similar to some integral things. Even those who follow the law of thunder may not necessarily have money. In the following time, Ling Xuan did not unleash his brain power and caused a large scale attack. But try to restrain your strength as much as possible and achieve precision. If he can't withstand the force, in case of future city battles, let alone the enemy, he will launch a big move and the city will be gone. Thunder, spiral hand sword. 1,000 birds. At this moment, the moment of silence. Cut it off with one blow. Super electromagnetic cannon. In this unmanned environment, Ling Xuan's secondary illness was greatly relieved. Sure enough, the most handsome move is to shout out your name. At the moment when the Mercury thunder on the left hand merges with the Sky thunder on the right hand, it will become bang. A huge explosion sounded. Cough, cough, cough. In the dust, Ling Xuan coughed violently. Mad, why did it explode? Did you not control the proportion properly? Fan away the dust, Ling Xuan looked around. At this moment, the entire mountain is in ruins, with scorched black pits everywhere. It seems we won't be able to come out for a while. He believes that after leaving, this area cannot be hidden. Sigh, when it comes to cooking by oneself at night, forget it, let's eat outside today. Sighed. Tired, system, do you have a time travel feature? Ding. Yes, it is currently being laid. Laying. Ling Xuan was taken aback for a moment. Ding. Yes, some things need to be improved, they will be ready tomorrow. The host can look forward to it. That's it, I'm really looking forward to it. Ding. Thank you for your recognition. After chatting with the system, Ling Xuan felt much more relaxed again. Sure enough, having a good speaking system has made life much more comfortable. Eat and eat. Ling Xuan happily raised his hand. However, as he took a step forward, he stopped. Looking at the dense trees, a drop of sweat slipped off my forehead. By the way, where is this? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Toast Pizza. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Toast Pizza, could you please? As the sun gradually sets, the sky also becomes increasingly dim. Put away the 7 thunderbolts that had been inserted on the ground, and Ling Xuan stepped on the ground. In an instant, the red thunderbolt rushed straight towards the sky. The thunder stopped in mid-air. Ling Xuan overlooks the entire afterglow forest from a high altitude. Is this a small view of the mountains? Turning his head, he looked towards the final glow of the sun. Dyed the verdant forest orange. What a sad scene. The sunset always reminds people of the sea of pink tulips. Glancing at it, Ling Xuan turned his back. Looking towards the direction of the city, gently tap your toes into the void. Accompanied by the ripples of space, under the thunder, Ling Xuan transformed into a red skyline. When it's close to the city gate, Ling Xuan fell from the sky, closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he had already returned to his original black color. Then he walked into the city. At this moment, the entire city has already lit up with neon lights. The sky was completely dim, with only a faint blue, interpreting the final radiance of the sun. Ling Xuan casually found a noodle restaurant and went in. "Boss, I'll have a beef noodle dish." Good Ling Xuan, who had finished ordering, sat down alone in a quiet spot. Turn your head and quietly watch the pedestrians coming and going outside the glass. To be honest, even if it gets stronger, it's still boring. There is no event to pretend to be X for him, and he is completely uninterested in the matter of the third dimension. I hope the system can quickly improve the traversal mechanism. Shaking his head, Ling Xuan took out his phone and began to look at today's news. After a while, a bowl of beef noodles was served. Ling Xuan picked up his chopsticks and prepared to eat. "Why are you here alone?" However, just as Ling Xuan was preparing to put down his chopsticks, a familiar voice came through. "Kiana." Ling Xuan lifted his head and looked at the figure in front of him in surprise. "Why are you here?" "I lost the game last night, so I came to buy groceries." Kiana lifted the bag in her handle. "Humph. Just Blonia, this time it must be just luck. I will definitely win next time." "You must have said this many times," Ling Xuan couldn't help but laugh. "Hey. No way." Kiana's face, which was exposed, turned a little red. "Don't you hurry back. They should still be waiting for your dishes to cook dinner." Ling Xuan looked at Chi Yana sitting down curiously and said. When it comes to this," Kiana looked aside with a little guilty. "Ling Xuan. After a moment of silence, Ling Xuan slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Is that possible? Are you lost?" "Hee, it's my first time coming out here, but I didn't expect my phone to run out of bills." Kiana awkwardly scratched her head. Ling Xuan chuckled and said, "Then wait a moment. Let's go back together after I finish eating. I won't disturb you, will I?" "Sorry to bother you," Ling Xuan glanced at her. Kiana playfully stuck out a small tongue. "Speaking of that fairy Ellie, what exactly is it? How come I have never seen it before?" Placing the vegetables in plastic bags on a nearby chair, Kiana looked at Ling Xuan and asked. "Didn't she say it? A fairy from the kingdom of fairy music." Kiana. "I'm not talking about a story anymore. It just feels a bit novel. After all, there are no dolls for sale on the market." You can think of it as a technological breakthrough," Ling Xuan said. "Why aren't you around?" Kiana exclaimed curiously. "It's too annoying," Ling Xuan said directly. "He doesn't bring any gifts for anyone who changes to Bella." Kiana choked. "And, seeing things makes one think of others. Kiana was a bit puzzled, and then noticed Ling Xuan's somewhat lonely gaze. Kiana quickly spoke up, I'm sorry. Why apologize? You didn't do anything wrong, Ling Xuan smiled. Why don't you talk to me about something else? Which city did you move in from? He is quite curious about this. Kiana also wanted to change the topic and said, we are from Chongqing City. Chongqing City. Ling Xuan was confused. Yeah, but unfortunately, there was a spatial crack in that city and it is currently being guarded by the military. Plus, we happened to meet Aunt Jeezy's schedule, so we moved here, Kiana sighed. Ling Xuan was taken aback by the sound. Did the third collapse turn into a spatial crack? The system is really a sewing monster. The two continued to discuss some topics. After finishing the noodles in Ling Xuan, they went back together. Yai, I'm back. As soon as Kiana entered the room, she gave Yai a big bear hug. Nai Nai Tai, the lilies are infinite. Kiana, why have you been out for so long? Yai, who was hugged, asked. Brunia on the side looked at the deformed object and instinctively hugged Shomu in her arms. Woo-woo, Yai, money, my phone is out of charge, please help me, Kiana cried. Blonia. Idiot Kiana, you owe me your phone bill earlier. Kiana. Isn't there Wi-Fi at home? Yai. Ling Xuan, who returned home, sat on the sofa as usual to take a nap. I found several movies to watch. The movies in this world are quite good, after all, the special effects are real. Ding dong, suddenly, the phone rang and a pop-up window appeared. Ling Xuan curiously picked it up. We're going to have an awakening ceremony. Why did it suddenly advance? The message was sent by the homeroom teacher. The meaning is very simple. The awakening ceremony, which was originally planned to be 10 days later, suddenly moved forward by 2 days. Bang ping, the sound of knocking on the door rang, and Ling Xuan got up and walked towards the door. The door opened and I saw a cute face. Hee hee, Ling Xuan, good evening. Kiana, what's up? Ling Xuan asked. Here you are. Kiana took out a lunchbox and handed it to Ling Xuan. What is this? Toast pizza, I made it myself, can it be considered a thank you gift? Ling Xuan was taken aback for a moment. Toast pizza. I made it myself. Thank you. Ling Xuan, who took it from Kiana's hand, smiled. Well, that's it. I'll go back first. Kiana smiled and waved her hand, then ran back. Returned to the room and opened the lunchbox. Looking at the toast pizza in the box, I picked up one and put it in my mouth. The moment of biting. It's a bit burnt, but a little burnt is more delicious. Indeed, insects have always been the best. Ding. Reminder host, the group chat system has been loaded. The next day while Ling Xuan was brushing his teeth, the sound of the system rang out. Isn't it the check.in system? Ling Xuan, who suspected he had heard wrong, asked. Ding. The host can understand that the system has checked in and out a subsystem called group chat. Ling Xuan. Is it okay for the system to sign into other systems? This explanation gives 82 points, and the remaining 18 points are sent to the system in the form of 666. Ding. May I ask if the host has started group chat? Wait a moment, I'll sign in for today first. Ding. Successful check.in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Beichenidao flow. It's like a bird cutting off with just one knife. Roast, Ling Xuan closed his eyes and digested the memory in his mind. Alright system, start group chat now. Ding. The super-dimensional system is starting to start. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Shine of Fairies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Shine of Fairies, Startup completed. Ding. The Ultimate Lawmaker joins the group chat. Ding. The Genius of Victory team joined the group chat. Ding. Demon Soldiers join the group chat. Ding. Morix joins the group chat. As the system's voice fell, Ling Xuan's consciousness was pulled into a pitch-black space. Following closely are 4 warning tones. Looking at the 4 people who entered the group chat, Ling Xuan groped his chin. What is the ultimate law? Isn't this his immediate superior? You can try to extort gemstones. The genius of the winning team, this is too familiar. Dijia, right. Since he is a genius, first rule out Daegu, Xincheng, and Zhongfang. Zhu Jianhui and Lina wouldn't consider themselves geniuses either. So there are only Horai and Yerue left. Fairy strategist, without a doubt, Mavis. As for Morix refused the 6 sun. In law. Above the moon the sleeping figure inside the altar slowly opened her pure white and flawless eyes. Morix, who was listening to a book, paused. Sitting on the serious tree, Mebais looked up barefoot at the boundless sea. And within the winning team Yerue, who was organizing the materials, also stopped what he was doing. Morix. Is this the power of heaven? Zhongli said lightly. The genius of the victory team. So it's not an illusion. Fairy army master. Is it a lost illusion magic? The ultimate lawmaker. Ling Xuan. Hello everyone, welcome to join the super-dimensional group chat. Victory team's genius. What technique is it to have a direct conversation with consciousness? Ling Xuan said, please don't get excited, let me explain it to you. Ling Xuan. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Kevin Kaslana, and I am the group leader and owner of this chat. The ultimate lawmaker. The genius of the victory team. Well, isn't your name Ling Xuan, the group leader? Ling Xuan. Ha. It's exposed. The ultimate lawmaker. The genius of the victory team. At end of law, do you know the group leader? The ultimate lawmaker. Ling Xuan. At the genius of victory team, don't pay attention to her, she's just a mute. The genius of the victory team said, ah. But even if I don't speak, I can still send messages. Morix said, indeed, in terms of universal reason, if it is a dialogue between spirits, there are no physical obstacles. On the stage Tian Tizui's heart sank when he saw Zhongli, who was absent-minded. What's wrong? What's wrong? Did Mr. Zhongli feel bored after listening to the story too many times? There aren't many frequent customers in Liyue who are as generous as Zhongli. Ling Xuan. You can click on the group avatar and get the information you want. Is it a group avatar? On Sirius Island Mavis lightly touched the group avatar on the front template with his hand. This template is amazing, not only can it be played out, but it can also be shrunk into consciousness. Of course, others cannot see it. Collapsed the world moon sitting on the throne, the lawyer named Zhongyan, after studying without success, also extended his white jade-like finger and lightly tapped the group portraits. The next second, information about group chat came to mind. She understands this kind of thing better than anyone else. Because she usually uses this way to deceive people. Other worlds. After absorbing the information, a pure white void emitted a sound like an electric sound. The genius of the victory team said, is this all true? Yerue is very excited. No one in the group understands the limitations of humanity better than him. With current human technology, not to mention other worlds, even space cannot be broken through. Morix. I see, I guess we're not from the same world either. Ling Xuan said, you are truly you. Cough, Lord Yenshin, that's right, just as you said. Fairy Master. So. Group leader, what is the purpose of bringing us here? At this moment, all the people in the group are very rational. Even if surprised, they will sort it out in their minds before speaking. Ling Xuan said, this group is equivalent to a platform for communication, where everyone can chat with each other. After all, chatting with people from other worlds is almost impossible in ordinary times. Ling Xuan said, and, mobbies, don't you want to be exposed to knowledge from another world? Fairy strategist. How did the group leaders know my name? Morix. Oh. Master, may I know what my name is? Ling Xuan. Mr. Zhongli, the guest of the Hall of Rebirth. Morix. I see. The genius of the victory team. What's wrong? Morix said, the group leader has a certain understanding of us, but we know nothing about the group leader. From this point on, the group leader has the advantage. Fairy Army Master. And since we are in different worlds, the group leaders know our names and deeds, and our abilities are obvious. They either predict or peep. Ling Xuan. Ling Xuan's mouth twitched. Hello, why do these people think so much? I just want to open a group chat. Of course, I also crave your abilities and the girls of the world, Ling Xuan said, although I cannot predict the future, I can see some fragments. Peering is really unpleasant. How could he be a voyeur? Ling Xuan. Let's make an analogy. At Fairy Master, I know where you and Jeff's child are. What? Mavis, who was thinking about group chat on Sirius Island, was taken aback. Fairy strategist. Me and Jeff's child. When did it happen? Ling Xuan said, at that time, you were already dead, and what you discovered was also Plexido. Ling Xuan said, let me show you something. Ding. Leader Ling Xuan uploads a memory copy. Mobbies downloaded it directly. A scene also emerged in my mind. That is the story of a young man named Yugast. He experienced abandonment and met his father as an orphan. Devote one's life to serving under one's father. But until his death, neither of his parents knew about the existence of this son. Yugast. After reading the memory copy, Mavis had already burst into tears. Cover your mouth with both hands, your eyes soaked in tears. Fairy Master. At Master, thank you. Thank you for telling me this. Ling Xuan. It's okay, as long as I can help you. Mavis jumped down from the Sirius tree. She has decided that she needs to go to Shida Road, find Ujiast, and find her own child. Morix said, it's a cruel thing to know each other but never recognize each other. Even as an outsider, he is aware of the cruelty involved. The ultimate lawmaker. Ding. The group member, Fairy Military Master, has sent you an exclusive red packet to the group. Do you have a red envelope? Ling Xuan, who heard the prompt, curiously clicked in. Ding. Congratulations to the host for receiving the red envelope. The radiance of the super magical fairy. Ah, ha. Ling Xuan hesitated for a moment. The Fairy Tale Guild strictly prohibits the spread of magic, and Mebai's actions are equivalent to breaking the rules. Goblin Master. Group Leader, I can't repay what happened today. This magic is my intention. Ling Xuan said, group chat is like a big family, with the original intention of helping each other. I am very happy to be able to help you. After sending the message, Ling Xuan felt a bit like a pyramid scheme. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Social Waste. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Social Waste. Ling Xuan, who opened the red envelope, closed his eyes and carefully savored the information known as magic. The radiance of a fairy, as one of the 3 super magic powers of a fairy's tale. It is a powerful individual magic that collects and condenses the radiance of the sun, moon, and stars. If calculated according to fate, it is for city treasures. If only it were the ability of a rational person, Ling Xuan licked his tongue. Super magic is a type of magic that is even more powerful and complex than ordinary magic. If you are a law of reason practitioner, you may be able to analyze it in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, he is the ruler of thunder. After thanking Ling Xuan, Mobbies quickly went offline. At this moment, her whole heart is tied to Yugast. Shida Road is far away, and before going there, she needs to retrieve her body. The group member Victory Team's genius sent a lucky red envelope. Seeing the red envelope, Ling Xuan instinctively poked it. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a black ballpoint pen. Ling Xuan. Surprisingly, can it really be? Yi Rui looked in shock at the disappearing ballpoint pen and notebook on the desktop. After seeing Maybe's red envelope, he instinctively tried it. I didn't expect it to really be sent out. The genius of the Victory Team. Incredible, so incredible. The interweaving of virtual and real, what kind of technique is this? The ultimate lawmaker said, it's just a mere virtual transmission. The genius of the Victory Team. Speak up, speak up. The ultimate lawmaker. Morex. Hehe, it seems that this friend can't help it anymore. The ultimate lawmaker said, I just don't want to have too much conversation with humans. Ling Xuan. Is there a possibility that the person you're talking to is not actually a human? The ultimate lawmaker. The genius of the Victory Team. Aren't you guys human, group leaders? Ling Xuan said, it's a bit hurtful to say that. Morex said, in terms of universal reason, I am not truly human. Ling Xuan said, I am a fusion warrior, and I can refer to the specific situation at the end of the law. She has a lot of say. In the pure white space, there was a slight frown on the face of the existence named Zhongyan. Can't find even though she is driven by 13 cores, she can't even pry into any secrets of group chat. Ding! Suddenly, a warning sound came to mind. She couldn't help but look and saw the speech of Ling Xuan's fusion warrior. At Ling Xuan, are you very familiar with me? Ling Xuan. A homestead girl. The ultimate lawmaker. The ultimate lawmaker. Pride, jealousy, indifference, hatred, greed, despair, abandonment, war, deception, this is the essence of humanity. The genius of the Victory Team. This. He is an innocent human lying with a gun. Ling Xuan said, what extreme right-wing person. You said you're so angry, do your parents know? I'm just talking about the ugliness of human nature, said the ultimate lawmaker Ling Xuan. If I am weak, then please eliminate me. Otherwise, I will let you perish. For some reason, this sentence suddenly came to his mind. The ultimate lawmaker. The genius of the Victory Team said, are you okay, group leader? Ling Xuan said, it's just a matter of feeling. Watching the speaker's speech, Zhongli frowned slightly. Morex. This friend, I think you're too extreme. Morex said, although I don't know what you've experienced, humans also have many shining points, courage, kindness, diligence, friendship, self-sacrifice, and so on. You can't say that these human virtues do not exist. Morex. Light and shadow coexist, we cannot generalize. As a human deity, Zhongli loves humanity at all times. Even the most cruel demon god will provide a safe haven for his people. This is the first time he has seen someone who harbors such hatred towards humanity. The ultimate lawmaker said, oh, what you say is so insignificant and ridiculous. All the beautiful words are just excuses for the strong to oppress the weak. Ding! The ultimate lawmaker was banned by the group leader Ling Xuan for an hour. Ling Xuan said, it's almost enough. It's been over 50,000 years, should we let it go? Even if we go for revenge, we're not the people you know anymore. Ling Xuan still has a headache for those who follow the law of the end of the world. After all, the lawyers of the previous generation were too rational. Moreover, without the help of Ellie, the personality of the lawmaker will completely erode the main personality, and there will be no opportunity for personality split. Just like a string of code, it will completely become a broken apostle, executing programs that destroy humanity. Simply put, it's just one tendon. Tisk. Moon, the figure on the throne, made an unpleasant sound for the first time. Yi Rui, who was peeking at the screen, was taken aback. 50,000 years. Morix also showed a surprised expression. A thought couldn't help but arise in my heart. This group friend named the law of the end of Yen has already worn out. Ling Xuan said, "Don't worry about her, just treat her as mute." Morix. Master, this kind of existence is very dangerous. Ling Xuan said, "Don't worry, she's being sealed because she's too crazy." Morix. Is that so? I have a sealing formation called Zhenlong Trace here. Ling Xuan. Ah, this, Ling Xuan said, Meng Des Kuli once said. The larger the hood, the worse the big demon king, and this is the case with the ultimate law. Zhongli looked at Ling Xuan's message in confusion. What does this mean and why doesn't he understand? Ling Xuan. Alright, let's skip this topic. Do you have anything else you want to ask? If not, I'll go offline. Victory Team's genius. I need to digest today's information. Morix. At Ling Xuan, I have a question. May I ask the group leader to answer it? Ling Xuan. What do you say? Morix said, the group leaders know my identity as a deceased cousin, so they must also know my other identity. Ling Xuan. Are you referring to Morix, one of the 7 rulers of the earth, the rock god rock emperor of Liyue? Zhongli looked at the information in the group and chuckled lightly. Morix said, it has been over 3,700 years since I established Liyue. The genius of the victory team. 3,700 years. Yerue was once again surprised. The ultimate law occupies the origin of humanity, and this Morix occupies half of human civilization. What kind of old monster is he talking to? Morix said, in the eyes of the people of Liyue, I am an eternal god. Under my oracle, Liyue prospers. I thought it would continue like this until... Ling Xuan said, you heard a businessman praising his subordinates. You have completed your duties, now, go rest. Zhongli paused for a moment. Then he smiled with relief. Morix. It seems that the group leader already knows everything. Morix. At that time, I was thinking, have my responsibilities been fulfilled? Ling Xuan. Simply put, you want to retire. Morix. Retirement. A very vivid metaphor. Ling Xuan said, so what you're curious about now is the way people like Li Yu get along with immortals after you leave. Zhongli opened his mouth and then shook his head to smirk. Morix. Yes. Ling Xuan. You should have a preliminary plan, right? Morix said, yes, there's only one person left in the game now. Morix. I wonder if in the eyes of the group leaders, the people of Liyue are ready to welcome the next era. Yi Rui stared blankly at the chat in the group. Oh my goodness. Is he witnessing the replacement of an era? Ling Xuan said, compared to this, I would rather ask, have you brought any money? Morix. Ling Xuan said, when you decided to drive the Tivet as an ordinary person like Zhongli, did you ever think that you needed to pay for your meal and didn't take advantage of it to save some private money now? Morix. In terms of universal rationality, that's really a good suggestion. Ling Xuan said, that's a good suggestion. I don't want my group members to become a useless social person who eats for free everywhere and wants people to pay for it. Morix said, this kind of thing shouldn't happen. Ling Xuan said, can't you guess why I said that? Morix. After listening to the storytelling, Zhongli, who instinctively wanted to say, write it down to the hall account, fell silent. No need in the future, he is already there now. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Thunder Light, Cleansing Insects and Insects. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Thunder Light, Cleansing Insects and Insects. Continuing to chat with the group members, Ling Xuan withdrew from the group chat. But before we leave Ding, the group leader untied the forbidden words of the ultimate ruler. Ding. The ultimate lawmaker was banned from speaking for 12 hours by the group leader. Ling Xuan said, alright, if she comes out again, you guys will take care of me. Morix. The genius of the victory team. Zhongli couldn't help but laugh. This group leader really has a temperament. However, Ling Xuan's words also woke him up. Morix doesn't have Mora, what does that sound like? You can store some appropriately, it's not good to keep bothering the master, Zhongli pondered. So tired. Ling Xuan, who had left the group chat, stood up and stretched lazily. Stretch the muscles and veins throughout your body. Ding. How does the group leader feel about the experience of group chat? Very good, I'm very satisfied, Ling Xuan said. Just as I opened the group, I got a big move, it's like earning blood. System, how can you handle the matter of the ultimate lawmaker? Ling Xuan said in distress. She is the hardest one to handle in the entire group, but she also has the most good things. Alas, he is too weak, otherwise he would have used a strong one. Ding. The host may be looking forward to tomorrow's check.in. Oh. Ling Xuan let out a soft sigh and then raised the corner of his mouth slightly, I'm looking forward to it. Sure enough, chatting with you would be very comfortable. Ding. The host is overpraised. Smiling, Ling Xuan picked up his phone. 10.30 There is still 1 hour left until 11.30 for dinner. Coincidentally, let's try out the newly acquired abilities during this period. Ling Xuan raised his hand, and a golden magic circle appeared in his palm. The magic required by magic is also converted into the destructive energy within the core of the lawmaker. Ling Xuan, who sat up from the sofa, put on his shoes and went out. Ling Xuan. On this side, Ling Xuan, who had just left, heard someone calling him. Turning around, Kiana, who was accompanied by Blonia play badminton, waved to him in the yard next door. When did Kiana and I have such a good relationship with Ling Xuan? Blonia exclaimed in surprise. Not only did they proactively greet each other, but they also personally made food to give to each other. This makes Blonia feel a bit unreal. The Kiana she knows is definitely not such a hard-working person. Because he is a good person, Kiana smiled. It's better not to casually post good person cards, Ling Xuan walked over and said helplessly upon hearing Kiana's words. I am someone who greets your body. No need for a good person card. Hey. Blonia sighed and said, sometimes I envy Kiana's innocent brain cells. Speaking of which, Ling Xuan, where are you going at this time? Kiana asked. My words, Ling Xuan suddenly paused as he watched Kiana speak. Kiana, let me ask you something. You said. Do you know gun-fighting skills? How could you know? No, I don't know, I'm just an ordinary student. Kiana was taken aback and quickly shook her head. Idiot Kiana, you have disclosed yourself. Blonia roast aside. It seems that apart from the background of the collapse, Kiana herself has not changed much. Ling Xuan, who received the answer, said in his heart. Kiana, I want to ask for your help. Ling Xuan said seriously. What are you busy with? Can you use gun fighting skills to compete with me? They all say I don't know how to do it, Kiana panicked. If you're willing, I'll give you this. Ling Xuan took out the simulated gemstone that had previously been separated by the power of the Thunder Law from his pocket. This is. Kiana hasn't spoken yet, and Blonia's pupils just shrink. As the Ural Silver Wolf, she could see at a glance how powerful the gem contained. Once liberated, it is not a problem to blow up the entire city of Kanglan. How's it going? But Jizi once said. Kiana's eyes flickered. Promise him, Kiana. At this moment, a gentle voice came. Ling Xuan looked and a fiery red figure caught his eye. GZ. Blonia and Kiana turned their heads. First time meeting, brother Ling Xuan. The lady known as GZ shook her hand at Ling Xuan. Colonel GZ. Ling Xuan, who had conceived ideas, tentatively asked. Ah, ha. Wu Yang to GZ was taken aback. Stupid Kiana, talk about everything outside. Blonia looked directly at the insect on the side. I don't have it. Don't talk nonsense, Kiana quickly shook her head. Two fried dough twists braids are beating the void continuously. Alright Brunia, even if Kiana is stupid and foolish, there are some things she won't say, GZ explained to Kiana. Even if I'm stupid and foolish. GZ. Kiana suddenly realized something was wrong and blushed, shouting loudly at Wu Yang to GZ. Alright, be good. Wu Yang to GZ covered her ears with one hand and caressed Kiana's head with the other. Just like comforting an injured little pet, Kiana snorted lightly, clasped her arms and turned her head. Wu Yang to GZ smiled and took her hand off Kiana's head, then turned her gaze back to Ling Xuan and said, So, young man, let's continue with the previous topic. How is this place? A few people arrived at an empty space, and Wu Yang to GZ said to Ling Xuan. I can do anything, Ling Xuan chuckled lightly. That's good, GZ nodded and looked at the other person. Kiana. Since GZ has said so, okay, I will show mercy. Kiana, holding Colt, walked over. Ling Xuan chuckled lightly. Grip your right hand towards the void. Shoo. The purple thunder suddenly heats up and hibernates in the void. Bathed in thunder, a deep purple sword slowly solidified. Ha! Qi Yana was slightly stunned when she saw Ling Xuan's Tai Dao in his hand. This is. Blonia's expression suddenly changed as she looked at the data on the tablet. Blonia, what's wrong? GZ walked over. However, when she saw the data on the tablet, her complexion also changed. How could that be? With 500,000 spiritual power points. Even if it's at level A, there's not such high data. Little brother, you really surprised me. So, can we start now? Ling Xuan smiled and said to each other. Wu Yang to Jiko smiled confidently and said, of course, high spiritual power doesn't necessarily mean strong combat power, Kiana. Kiana, B.level awakener, please go to battle. Be careful. Kiana said something. Stepping on the ground, he rushed forward first. Ling Xuan lifted his head and his purple pupils shook fiercely towards the surrounding void. Shit. Thunder appeared around me. Drink it. Kiana kicked over. With a movement in his expression, Ling Xuan raised his hand in an instant, he grabbed Kiana's calf. Sigh. Kiana, who was stuck in mid-air, was taken aback. Following that bang. In the shocked gaze of several people, Kiana was easily thrown away by Ling Xuan. So fast. Blonia condensed and said again. Wu Yang to Jiko's eyes lit up and she said, they are the preemptive beings of the Thunder series. Preachers are individuals who naturally awaken their abilities. Although the alliance requires that high schools only begin the awakening ceremony. But there will always be individual examples. And there are also many families with awakening arrays. Ling Xuan, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Come again. Wiping her mouth, Kiana, who refused to admit defeat, rushed over again. Bang bang. The spiritual energy solidifies and transforms into an energy bomb, firing from Colt. However, these bullets were too slow in Ling Xuan's eyes. Ling Xuan, holding a Tai Dao, also rushed over. He is here to practice skills, not to suppress energy. Easily chop up light bullets. Bang. Tai Dao and Colt collided. Red sparks emerged from the gun. Is this conductive metal? Looking at Colt, Ling Xuan exclaimed in surprise. Hee, my gun is unique and very hard. Kiana chuckled lightly. Immediately afterwards, Ling Xuan felt a huge thrust coming. The strange power of the Kaslana family is revealed. Directly shook Ling Xuan away. At the moment when Ling Xuan lifted his head, I saw Kiana throwing the gun in her hand as a boomerang. Ling Xuan's pupils froze and he raised his sword with one hand. Slash at the void. Bang. Colt was directly thrown to the ground by unloading the force. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Thundering and Shining. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Thundering and Shining. Kiana, if this continues, we will lose. Ling Xuan's blade swung horizontally, shaking away Qiyana's attack and reminding him. Ling Xuan, you are the one. The gunfighting skills of the Kaslana family are far more than that. Kiana refused to show weakness. With his right hand gripping the void, the Colt spear on the ground flew back into his hand in an instant. Taking a step forward, Bug rushed towards Ling Xuan with his two guns in hand. Holding Tai Dao with one hand, Ling Xuan aimed it at Qiyana. The corner of his mouth slightly raised, then let me see your full strength. Bang! Accompanied by the explosion of the air, Ling Xuan rushed towards Kiana. Without hesitation, wave a knife. Bang! A simple knife was easily taken by Kiana. Hey! Kiana gave a sly smile, supported the ground with one hand, and kicked towards Ling Xuan with one foot. Ling Xuan's pupils froze. The left hand without a knife extended out. Bang! The collision of the two and the strong force made Ling Xuan take a step back. There are loopholes. Kiana let out a loud shout and rushed forward. The speed is faster than before, and the force is greater. A powerful impact can instantly create a small pit on the ground. Just like a humanoid beast. Stupid Kiana, I'm too excited. Blonia looked at the devastated land and said helplessly. Is there anything bad about it? GZ chuckled lightly. Focus on the two of them. They are very happy. Ling Xuan, who was fighting against Kiana, showed an excited expression. This is not only about fighting against the person you long for, but also the excitement of being able to fight against them. A girl as bright as moonlight, dancing gracefully in the wind. The powerful yet aesthetically pleasing gun-fighting technique left Ling Xuan unable to find any flaws. After another collision, the two of them distanced themselves. He is truly a person who dares to single-handedly fight the collapsing beast with just a baseball bat. Ling Xuan couldn't help but sigh as he felt the numbness in his hands. Looking up, she saw Kiana, who was holding two guns and prepared for battle, saying, "It's called gun fighting, but in the end, it's not all about wielding swords to strike people. However, it's also true that only the useless Kaslana uses two guns." Ling Xuan's physical combat skills were completely defeated, but compared to swordsmanship. Ling Xuan, who has signed in at Beichenidao Lu, is not convinced. The thunder light that inhabits the seven thunders of disguising crime seems to be activated, entwined on the blade like a wandering dragon. Insects are already very agile, but in the eyes of the lawmaker, they are still too slow. Thunder light. Cut off the past. The purple eyes opened and lit up a strange light. Shit. Thunder flashed through the void. My pupils froze and burst out straight. As she approached Kiana, she raised her sword. Bachin slash. Shoo. Thunder resounds brightly, fleeting in an instant. Kiana's pupils suddenly contracted. In her sight, Lei Guang cut her Colt's 2 guns in half. Svalend Vind when Kiana realized, the tip of the knife was already 1 centimeter away from her throat. Kiana, you lost, Ling Xuan said calmly. Insects are very strong. Unfortunately. Her opponent is hanging on the wall. Kiana stared blankly at the tip of the knife pressing against her throat, feeling a bit dazed for a moment. She seemed to see the shadow of Yai from Ling Xuan's knife, pop 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 pop, the applause of drums rang out. Little brother, you really surprised me. Ling Xuan turned his head and saw Wuliang Tajizi walking over. Ling Xuan let go of his hand, and Tai Dao entered the system space. He smiled and said, just some slippery tricks. Kiana, how do you feel? Wuliang Tajizi looked at Kiana. Humph, I won't lose when Miss changes weapons, said Bug Bug unhappily. GZ gave a smile. Then he looked at Ling Xuan and said, I didn't expect there to be a strong person like you hidden in Kanglan City. Ling Xuan chuckled lightly and said, I'll ask Lieutenant Colonel GZ to keep it a secret. Wuliang Tajizi was taken aback for a moment, her red lips lifted lightly, and in a teasing voice, she said, Don't worry, I still want to have a deeper conversation with you. Ling Xuan. 0.0 Although, I like insects. Thank you, Major GZ. Speaking, Ling Xuan took out a gemstone from his pocket. What are you? Looking at the gemstone handed over, GZ felt a bit puzzled. A stone, make friends, Ling Xuan smiled. What a mysterious man. Looking at Ling Xuan's back, Wuliang Tajizi sighed. Does GZ want the old cow to eat tender grass? Blonia said expressionlessly. Blonia, do you think you're not short enough? Wuliang Tajizi's mouth twitched and she punched Blonia's head. Blonia's eyes turned into, embarrassed face. After returning home, Ling Xuan sat down on the sofa, panting lightly. Fortunately, my body has been strengthened, otherwise I really wouldn't be able to hold on. Ling Xuan patted his chest with lingering fear and said, Indeed, all of Kaslanas are monsters. The main reason is that the scene of the Kaslana family's ancestral single-handed baseball bat hitting a chariot-crashing beast is too deeply ingrained in people's hearts. And it was his first battle just now. The dual pressure of body and mind inevitably leads to some nervousness. Meanwhile on the other side, Blonia, what's the data like? From the perspective of comprehensive strength in both spiritual power and physical fitness, it is undoubtedly an S. level. Bronia said in a condensed tone as she handed the tablet to GZ. Looking at the data on the tablet, even she was a bit dazed. I didn't expect an ordinary student to have such strong abilities. He hasn't reached adulthood yet, has he? Well, I'm 17 years old this year. 17.year.old wild s.class, tsk. Wuliang Tajizi looked towards the direction next door and licked her lips. Blonia remained expressionless and said, GZ, please don't do anything strange. Wuliang Tajiko rolled her eyes and said, I always feel like I've become some strange person in your heart. In Kiana's room Kiana sat on the bed, holding the Roar doll in her hands and staring blankly at her adorable toes. Cute human, are you still unhappy about what happened just now? Kiana looked up and noticed that the fairy Ellie appeared in front of her at some point. It's you, I'm fine, just take a break after the war. Humph, lovely human, no emotion can hide from my fairy's eyes. There's no way, since you don't want to say it, let the beautiful fairy use magical magic to dispel your troubles. Fairy Ellie raised her small wand. Worries and troubles, let's all fly away. A pink light bloomed on the small wand. How are you, lovely human? Are you feeling better now? Kiana. What magic, isn't it just special effects? However, looking at the concern of the fairy Ellie, Kiana couldn't help but chuckle lightly. Reaching out his hand, he placed it on the head of fairy Ellie and rubbed it. Thank you, fairy Ellie. Humph, helping lovely humans out of confusion is also the mission of fairies, said fairy Ellie proudly. I'm fine, let's go. Let's go down together and find Ye to make delicious food. Delicious. Fairy Ellie's eyes lit up. Hurry up and come down, lovely humans, beautiful fairies can't wait anymore. Why don't you call it Fairy Ellie? You can call it Foodie Ellie. Kiana looked at Eli, the demon who was more excited than herself, and roast. Who can refuse the food made by Yai? The fairy Ellie spoke sternly. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The End of Childhood. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The End of Childhood. Ding. The check.in has started today. May I ask if the host has checked in? The next day, early morning, Ling Xuan, who had just woken up, heard the sound of the system. Sign in now. Ling Xuan rolled over and lazily said. Ding. Successful check.in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the flower of humanity. The sound of the system fell, and a pink crystal flower slowly fell from the void to Ling Xuan's pillow. Upon hearing something he had never heard before, Ling Xuan opened his eyes in a daze. What is this? Subconsciously picked up the crystal flower. Consciousness gradually becomes clearer. Isn't this Ellie's crystal rose? Ding. The appearance is the same, but the performance is not the same. Is this what you're talking about that can change the ultimate law? Ling Xuan subconsciously said. Then something suddenly occurred to me, and my face changed slightly. Wait, what did you just sign in for in the system? Ding. Returning to the host is the flower of humanity, which helps all lost individuals who have fallen into the abyss to regain their original humanity. Upon hearing the system's words, Ling Xuan slightly raised the corners of his mouth and said, the system, you're too poisonous. After this incident, Ling Xuan had no drowsiness at all. When even entering the group chat. The first thing I did after joining the group was to lift the ban on the end yen law. Subsequently, 3 items were randomly selected from the system space. Ding. The group leader sent a lucky red envelope. Morix received your red envelope. The demon strategist has received your red envelope. The genius of the winning team received your red envelope. However, Ling Xuan paid no attention to these. He only cares about whether he has received anything in the end. System, are you locked? Ling Xuan asked with some unease. Ding. The lock is complete, and the crystal rose can only be obtained by clicking Endless Law. Ling Xuan nodded, looking at the avatar of the ultimate lawmaker in the group chat. In order not to appear so abrupt, he chose to fight for the lucky red envelope. On the moon, the person who heard the prompt opened their eyes. I was a bit surprised to see my ban lifted. But then he was attracted by the second item. Red envelope. After a moment of silence, he finally clicked on it. You have received a red envelope from the group leader Ling Xuan. Open red envelope. In the void, a crystal rose appeared before the eternal lawgiver. The ultimate lawmaker extends his hand. Just as it was about to touch, the pink crystal rose suddenly cracked open. Transformed into countless petals and flew towards her. The person who finally followed the law was surprised. The terrifying collapse can be released from her body, trying to stop the shooting crystal flowers through this method. However, this is not physical erosion at all. Countless petals eventually merged into the body of the ultimate law. Dong! A throbbing sound sounded. The face of the final lawmaker suddenly changed. Grasp your chest with your right hand. With a loud bang, he knelt down. Pain, it hurts so much. At this moment, the person with the ultimate law is experiencing a splitting headache. It's like being torn apart in half, with a body that can break down and explode uncontrollably towards all sides. After a gap of 50,000 years, it reminded her once again of what pain is. Ah! In the pure white space, a final scream rang out. Click behind the end of the law, a gap opened in the void. Buzz. Endless collapse can burst straight into the sky from the crack. At Ling Xuan, what have you done to me? Victory Team's genius. Ah. Is there anything? It's just an ordinary braised pork ribs. Yerue looked confused. Morax. I got a white wig. Fairy strategist. I'm a lollipop. Ling Xuan said, don't worry, it's something that can help you. Before that, enjoy it. Bastard. Damn human. In pure white space the face of those who abide by the law is twisted. The endless collapse can begin to dissipate from her. In the end, he fainted directly. As the consciousness of the ultimate lawmaker dissipates, a pure white rose slowly blooms above the body. The originally flawless pure white body has gradually been coated with color. Immediately after, the body began to shrink. Victory Team's genius. So, is she okay? Ling Xuan said, it should be very good. Isn't he just adding a little more humanity to the end? It shouldn't be much of a deal, right? The ultimate lawmaker. $%. The genius of the Victory Team. Is this really okay? Ling Xuan. For a moment, Ling Xuan was also a bit unsure. System, what is the current situation? Ding. The host can cross over and take a look. Time travel. Ding. Yes. Ling Xuan remained silent for a while before saying, are you okay? I'll be instantly killed in the past, right? Ding. Please trust the system will never harm the host. Since you've said that, Ling Xuan sighed, you must protect me at a critical moment. Ding. Please rest assured, host. After talking to the system the teleportation channel appeared in front of Ling Xuan. Gulu. Thinking of facing the legendary ultimate ruler who destroyed a civilization, Ling Xuan couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. Swallowed a mouthful of saliva, the seven thunders of guilty appeared, and Ling Xuan walked in nervously. Collapsed the world moon. The emergence of spatial channels. Ling Xuan first entered this field belonging to the gods. Be vigilant and look around, without being attacked as imagined. Yeah. At this moment, a baby-like babbling voice sounded. Following the direction of the sound, Ling Xuan looked curiously. Then, he was confused. A little loli was sitting on the ground, constantly tinkering with the different colored gemstones on the ground. Ling Xuan. As is well known, only one person is sealed on the moon. That is to say, system, what is she? The end. Despite some reluctance to believe, Ling Xuan still tentatively asked. Ding. Yes. Silent, endless silence. In the pure white space, except for little Loli's voice, no sound can be heard anymore. Brother, accompany me to play. I noticed a joyful smile on Ling Xuan's face. He stumbled over and hugged Ling Xuan's thigh, with a milky voice in his throat. Ling Xuan. Looking at that innocent and cute little Loli. At this moment, he had a dog-like expression on his face. This is exactly the same as Kiana when she was a child. On the throne, Ling Xuan held Xiao Zhongyan in mid-air with both hands. Looking at her young physique, he said. Oh, whoa. Xiao Zhongyan extended his tender white hand and kept grabbing towards Ling Xuan. Unfortunately, my hands are too short to reach. System, what is her current situation and can she still change back? Ding. Returning to the host, as a shattered apostle, the ultimate law practitioners will has been completely assimilated, and the flower of humanity has added humanity to her, forcibly dissipating most of the ultimate law practitioner's power. The physical and intellectual abilities of the current, ultimate law practitioners are only equivalent to those of humans around 10 years old, but they gradually regain their strength as they age. Upon hearing the system's words, Ling Xuan sighed. Heaven and earth have a conscience, he really never thought he would end up like this. Since it's my fault, then you can be my sister in the future. I take care of you. Hug hug. Xiao Zhongyan opened his arms to Ling Xuan. Ling Xuan helplessly held Xiao Zhongyan in his arms and patted the young back. I need to give you a new name. Well, Kiana can't do it anymore. Silver hair, sister. Alright, let's call you Qiong. Ling Xuan lifted Qiong high and said. He doesn't need to express his thoughts on the ultimate law anymore, does he? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. My Sister's End. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. My Sister's End. On the throne, Ling Xuan hugged Qiong's small belly with one hand and saved her from falling, while the other hand searched through a pile of gemstones. Found it. Finally, Ling Xuan took out a gray gemstone from inside. The gemstone of reason. The law of reason is the embryonic form of the core. Although this gem is named a gem, its power is actually very weak. Under Ling Xuan's perception, this gem was similar to the quasi-conquest gem he had constructed. Dad, I need to. After seeing the gemstone, Xiao Qiong was very excited and stretched out his hand, thinking that he looked cute as he couldn't reach it. Call me brother. Ling Xuan reached out and patted Xiao Qiong's head. Woo! The next second, Xiao Qiong's eyes burst into tears. Don't cry, eat candy. Ling Xuan took out a lollipop from the system space and stuffed it into Xiao Qiong's mouth. Next second, the originally choked Xiao Qiong instantly turned from Yin to Qing. Grasping the lollipop stick with both hands, he happily ate it. It's really easy to support. Ling Xuan rubbed Xiao Qiong's head. System, help me merge this gem. Ding. It's merging now. The system is executing Ling Xuan's commands. The gray gemstone slowly flew into Ling Xuan's body. Finally, relying on the core of the law of thunder, absorbing the energy of collapse and gradually improving. Xiao Qiong looked at him eagerly. I want it but dare not say it. The ability of those who follow the law of reason can be said to be a manifestation of civilization. The existence of bugs, I believe no one will be indifferent to him. The complete laws of reason and power are even more terrifying. You don't need to worry about whether you understand the information of an object, as long as the creation that serves as the target is eventually accessible in the mortal body. Any miracle that civilization can achieve, any other shore that civilization can reach, can be replicated in an instant by the laws of reason. Simply put, the place that civilization can reach is the realm of the laws of reason. Even the uneducated child from Shilin was able to build a fleet when she first obtained the core. This fully demonstrates the strength and practicality of this core. Unfortunately, power has been greatly dispersed. It will take some time to grow into a complete core. Feeling the gemstones inside his body, Ling Xuan murmured. Ling Xuan, who has integrated the core, can now easily make some small things. Extend your hand, and the power of blue construction emerges in your hand. 2 headbands appeared in the hand. Xiao Qiong, don't move around. Feeling the dishonest Xiao Qiong in his arms, Ling Xuan pinched the latter's pale and tender cheeks. Sure enough, when Ling Xuan's voice fell, Xiao Qiong, who was originally quite mischievous, suddenly calmed down. And Ling Xuan also started his own business. He lifted Xiao Qiong's smooth silver hair. Take out the wooden comb placed in the system space and start combing Xiao Qiong's hair. Xiao Qiong sat in Ling Xuan's arms, his agile eyes fixed on the pure white space around him, and his feet swayed gently in the air. Ling Xuan, who had finished combing her hair, picked up a headband and began to tie Xiaoqiong's hair. In the end, a pair of ponytails were completed with Ling Xuan's poor skills. Let Xiaoqiong jump off the throne and stand in front of him. However, looking at the high and low double ponytails, Ling Xuan's face looked strange. It's strange. I'm facing the comb, why is it asymmetrical? Xiaoqiong tilted his face and looked at Ling Xuan with a puzzled expression. Forget it, go back and find Yayi to take a look. After thinking about it, Ling Xuan decided not to destroy Xiaoqiong's soft hair. Kiana's complicated double ponytail fried dough twists braids can be combed symmetrically, and the technology of bud clothes will certainly be good. Go back and take you to meet your sister. Ling Xuan extended his finger and gently scratched Xiaoqiong's soft chin. Hee, brother, it's so itchy. The scratched Xiaoqiong let out a playful sound. Listening to Xiaoqiong's laughter, Ling Xuan also smiled. Rubbing Xiaoqiong's head, he untied the tied ponytail, and his soft long hair fell all the way to his waist. Throwing the remaining gems into the system space, Ling Xuan pulled Xiaoqiong and left this divine land together. What kind of collapse, go to hell. The emergence of spatial channels. Ling Xuan and Xiaoqiong walked out. Xiaoqiong opened her big eyes and looked curiously at everything around her. Both unfamiliar and familiar. Take a seat first, I'll go make breakfast. Opening the chair on the dining table and saying a word to Xiaoqiong, Ling Xuan walked into the kitchen. Brother, that. Xiaoqiong ran over and grabbed Ling Xuan's hem, constantly pointing towards the TV. Do you want to watch TV? Ling Xuan glanced and asked. TV, I want to watch. Xiaoqiong exclaimed excitedly. Okay, here you go. Patting Xiaoqiong's head, Ling Xuan walked over. Xiaoqiong sat down on the sofa first, her eyes filled with anticipation. Ling Xuan turned on the TV and briefly explained the method of using a remote control. Finally, he threw the remote control to Xiaoqiong, and he continued back to the kitchen. Xiaoqiong sat on the sofa, swaying her small body and humming a song. My eyes are filled with curiosity about the world. After breakfast, Ling Xuan sat on the dining chair, gradually constructing a blueprint in his mind. Extend your hand, accompanied by the power of thunder and reason. A double gun appeared on the table. Looking at the twin guns he had constructed, Ling Xuan nodded in satisfaction. Constructed a gift box again and put the two guns inside. Then, he shouted to Xiaoqiong who was watching TV, Xiaoqiong, let's go. Good. Upon hearing the sound, Xiaoqiong skillfully turned off the TV, jumped off the sofa, and ran to Ling Xuan's side. I need to buy some fitted clothes and shoes for Xiaoqiong. Looking at Xiaoqiong in a white dress, Ling Xuan thought to himself. Let's go. Ling Xuan smiled slightly and reached out his hand to Xiaoqiong. Xiaoqiong held Ling Xuan's thumb. One big and one small have gone out. After leaving the room, Ling Xuan walked towards the next door. At first glance, it's Yayi hanging clothes. Good morning, Miss Yayi. Ling Xuan walked over with Xiaoqiong. Good morning, Mr. Ling Xuan. Upon hearing the sound, Yayi was taken aback and greeted Ling Xuan as well. Who is this? Yayi turned her gaze to Xiaoqiong. At the moment she saw Xiaoqiong, she had a familiar feeling. She is my younger sister, Gong Yueqiong, just call her Xiaoqiong. Xiaoqiong, call her sister, Ling Xuan smiled. Hello, Sister Yayi, Xiaoqiong sweetly shouted. Hello Xiaoqiong. Yayi greeted Xiaoqiong with a smile. A lovely girl is likable no matter where she is. Is Kiana at home? She's still sleeping, it's always like this, going to bed after breakfast is really worrying, said Yayi with a distressed expression. Ling Xuan smiled awkwardly. Kiana, this is pretty good. He used to eat lunch directly. End of this chapter.